I was invited by Sicilia Queer to create this exhibition. That's part of Heterotopia Lebanon. And this exhibition is happening now in Fondazione Santeria, the Palazzo. So this exhibition is presenting artists from Lebanon: Dima Al-Har, Randa Mirza, Lara Tabet, Maria Kassab, Rafat Majzoub, and I'm also presenting one of my video installations. So the show in general talks about the wider meaning of queer, where it's more about the bodies and the desire. The whole idea started, in fact, from the first time I arrived to Palermo. I noticed this resemblance between Palermo and Beirut. It's two cities that are by the Mediterranean, and the two cities are turning their back to the sea. Because historically, most of the cities of the Mediterranean had a very tough relation with the sea. It's a sea that took a lot of people from the cities and never allowed them to come back. So those cities are like somehow in a love and hate relation with the Mediterranean. So I invited artists, and I've selected work that deals with this relation between the bodies, between the citizens of those cities and the sea. Well, the interesting part about this exhibition is that most of the work, I would say 80% of it, except of like few images, were shown in Beirut. But each project was shown alone between other projects. So, and I was talking with the artists with whom I've been building the show together, and we were saying that it's funny because all those work were shown in Beirut. But in fact, if you want to take this show, for example, now to Beirut, it will be impossible somehow, because it will put the light on like a group of work that goes under one thematic, that's the body and the desire and sex and queer, and all together it would make it problematic because it doesn't fit in the. In fact, it threatens the discourse of the patriarchal society and the heteronormative society. So. And the thing is that till now, contemporary art exhibition doesn't request to have a permit from the censorship to be able to be presented in Lebanon, though the cinema, it is requested. So any film to be screened, you are requested to ask for a permit of screening from the censor. I think that all the artists who work in what we call the southern part of the globe share one problem, is that they are always looked at as a representative of their country, and this is very very unfair because, like myself and I know a lot of other artists, they don't think of themselves or neither their work as an ambassador for their cities or like of their countries. We do work because we would like to do work, because we have some concerns, some questions, some problematics that we want to talk about. As any other artist coming from the northern globe, where he's not judged or she is not judged upon where she's coming from or the nationality. He or she are judged as the quality of the work. Yeah, we live on the borders of trying all the time to do what we like to do, and the way that we like to do it without doing compromises that would fit what we call the white man of the northern part of the globe, and its policies and its structure and its format. So how do you do a work that communicate with the community where you live in, and at the same time that can be presented on the international scene without being judged and seen from a very narrow perspective that oh, you're coming from Lebanon, or you're coming from Greece, or you're coming from like anywhere in the world. Yeah, this is a challenge somehow. The new generation of artists that's working today has some privileges that were not accessible to generations of like the 60s and the 70s maybe. The whole idea of the market, the contemporary art market, for example, and the cinema market, how it works. For sure, it gets more complicated with time because there's a lot of power games that goes into consideration, and this for sure affects the production and the distribution and the reception of the work itself. But I think that we are somehow going towards like bit by bit towards like ending this parable to go into maybe a different one that we're not maybe aware of even now. But it was always the case. Like at some point the artist needed to work with the king. Always they had to, at some point they had to work with such form of power to be able to produce. And the power change with the time, and it takes different form, and artists deal with it in a different form also. So it's always shifting. It's always a pleasure to come here. Like it's my second time, and it's physically my second time, and non-physically my fourth time, because my short film was here, Mondial 2010. It was awarded. Then I came as a jury member. Then my feature film, I was not here. Then I came back now. So it's been 4 consecutive years that I'm present in this festival, and it's so nice because it's one of the festivals that is trying to re-question all the time what does it mean queer today in Europe. This political stance of like defending the queer rights is not as necessary as it was like 10 years ago, for example, or like 20 years ago in Europe. So today in Europe, when you do a queer film festival, it need to be wider in its explanation. So it need to show, to give always a space for LGBT films, context and like thematics, but also to challenge the meaning of queer, and like what does it mean a queer cinema, and how other film can fit sometimes in this under this umbrella. And the idea of like having a film screening and some performances and exhibitions in parallel happening is always very vivid, and the team and everybody here is super nice. So I wish any filmmaker would have the chance to come and visit the festival or participate in the festival.